Daniel, welcome, brother.
Yes, sir.
Dude, excited to have you here. Do you want to tell the guys what type of result that you've got in the last 30 days and why we're ultimately here?
Hit a 19K month. Could have done better. Things happened, but I hit a 19K month.
Wild. And for the guys' context as well, how old are you?
I am 21.
Beautiful. So, 21-year-old making close to 20K Australian in a singular month is a fantastic result. But as I always say in practically every case study interview that I have on the channel, was not easy. And in many cases for yourself, it was not easy to get to that result. And you had to solve a lot of problems, do a lot of troubleshooting, and to eat a little bit of shit, long story short, to get to where you've gotten.
Mm.
So I want to start the guys back to give the guys context of where you've come from, what you did before high ticket sales, where you're at university, where you're at college, what did you try making money online, just so we can go back before you even got into high ticket sales to give the guys a full context.
Oh, geez. How far back do you want me to go?
Let's go back to what you tried before high ticket sales, and then like what you were doing for work and like university and things like that.
All right. So I'll start from uni then. I
Hmm.
actually picked a degree I didn't want to do. If you've heard of those personality tests, like the ENFP, ISTFJ, whatever, I did a personality test at the end of high school, and I clicked on a little tab that said jobs that you might like, pressed on that, picked the first one, and I took that as a degree. I tell you what, I did not like it. I dropped out after my first year. I completed a diploma for it, moved into working at a bar, was a bartender for a bit, sick of talking to people, moved into trades work. So 5 in the morning to like 3 p.m. I did that for half a year and I was like, you know what? I'm sick of this as well. But along the way, I actually met a guy called Yu Chen. And of all places I met him, this was at a rave. And for those who don't know, it's basically a music festival, but people just like doing drugs. I met Yu Chen there, chatted him up. He put me onto ecom. I didn't do too well. I was a bit of a bum. I wasn't motivated, like playing games, liked going out, just sleeping in. Right. It did not work out well for me. And then I ended up coming across a case study you had with Rahul. So, by complete chance, I saw this on YouTube. I had never looked at any sales stuff before this. It was just by complete chance. Watched the interview, booked a call with Lucas, and walked me through the stuff. I had a look around, and the moment I turned into a laydown was when I saw one of my friends' names in the RSA, Ajinkya, my mate from high school, school captain. From then on,
Well,
I was like, you know what, let's do it. I only had about 1.4 grand to my name, which wasn't enough. So I actually officially joined sometime end of September, but I wasn't really able to do anything until I fully left my job, which was end of December 2024. Yeah.
wild, right? And that leads us to now. So I definitely want to touch on like how things kicked off in the high ticket sales space for you and like what your journey was like progressing through that. But that was really interesting. I don't think you've ever told me, or maybe I've forgotten the fact that you knew AJ, which is pretty cool to see.
Yeah. So
But
touching on my actual journey,
mhm.
it was shit, but it was fun. It was shit, but fun.
Okay.
5 days into my first role as a setter, I got kicked off because I wasn't good enough. So my high ticket sales journey started in January and it ended just as fast. I got kicked off almost immediately after landing a role. The OTE for it was about $12,000 a month, which was pretty good as a 20-year-old. Hopped on, outworked everyone, but just because you do a lot of work doesn't mean it's actually good. Did a lot of bad work. So I had really, really bad tonality problems. I sounded like a robot. I was scared. I wasn't confident. I sounded like the biggest loser on my calls. And because of that, I got kicked off. They were like, "You're great. Your work ethic's great, but you kind of sound like a retard." I was like, "Oh shit." Got kicked off, and I was super depressed about it. just started and I've already lost. I was like, you know what? I thought this was supposed to be a little easier than this. It is not. For any of the boys who are looking to get into sales, it is definitely not easy, but the reward is pretty good where I am now.
And even coming to the point of where you are now, right? Just to give the guys a bit of highlight of that. So, I know you did a bit of traveling recently, which is cool to see, right? Where are you at right now? How long does it take? How long did it actually take you to get there? Because I think it's around like 12 months you've been in the space from memory.
Yeah, around 12 months. So
Right.
January, February, all the way to, let's say, October was not pretty. It was not pretty at all. I feel like I had this short straw in terms of sales. Looking around at everyone else, all the guys that started with, everyone starting to make money. For some reason, everything that happened to me was completely unlucky. But I don't like putting things based on luck. I do take account for where I was, but my journey was really, really shit. It was so bad. I honestly wanted to give up, say, more than a dozen times.
Mm.
And on the day where I was genuinely about to give up, I sat on a call with some of the mates I started with, and they're like, you know what, you can take a break, all right? Do what you want, take a break, step away from sales. You might need to take a couple steps back to take a couple steps forward. I did not take that break, and I'm happy I didn't because now I'm here.
It's super interesting. And so you feel like one of the biggest things, I mean, I'd be curious to see if there's any other factors that kind of encourage you to keep going, but one of the biggest things was having access to the guys in the community that you started with that
Yeah,
kept on pushing you of like having that exposure of like these guys are doing well. Like eventually if I follow in their footsteps, if I keep going with this, I'll eventually get there, basically.
yeah. Just having people to hang around with you or even do this alongside you, one, it gives you proof of concept. Two, it's nice having friends. Three, my personal advice, please don't try to do this by yourself. It's not fun. It's not pretty. Actually do it with other people, maybe other students. Get some close friends. Right? I've been doing sales with these guys quite literally since January, and now I'm traveling with some of them.
Yeah. Where did you travel?
Traveled to Vietnam for like 10 days. We wanted to make it back for Christmas.
Nice. Yeah, super cool. So you're traveling the world, you're living that high ticket closer lifestyle that's, advertised all across like Instagram and YouTube. But even with that same breath, you're still working really hard to obtain that as well, like with the calls you're taking as well. Like what does a typical workday look like on the offer that you're on at the moment?
On the offer at the moment, I actually can't say too much because it is December as well. It is also a fairly new offer. Everything isn't really well put together at the moment. But in terms of the hours I'm working, it's less than a full-time job and I'm making more than a full-time job.
Awesome. Love that. And it's super cool to hear. It's like an offer that haven't even got all the pieces together and is kind of newer was one of the offers that allowed you to get like that massive result that you got just this month or the last 30 days alone, which is really, really cool to see.
Yeah.
What would be the biggest learnings you've had of like the false starts you've had in your journey of like where you wanted to give up on multiple occasions? Like what were the biggest learnings and lessons you had for someone that's like looking to get into high ticket sales or they're kind of just getting their start? Like what would you tell a younger version of yourself so that you can kind of get that up, that next peg and not have to go through the same lessons that you had to learn?
Probably one of the biggest lessons coming from Peter. We love Peter Bennett. Stop complaining, just do the work. All right. It's a lot more simple than people think it is. You actually just have to do the work. Do the dirty stuff. One of my favorite quotes is everything you want is on the other side of what you are avoiding. All right. You either do it or you well, so Peter Bennett says. And I didn't want
Fair enough. And so, like in terms of the hard work, like what does it actually look like? Just so that even speaking to someone who's like not in high ticket sales, looking to get started with it, or again who's kind of just getting started, like what is that hard work defined as? In your case.
yeah. In my case, hard work is defined as whether it's role plays, reviewing your own calls. It's boring, yeah, but you just have to do it. All right. Small things amount to something bigger over time. even doing things like reviewing other people's calls, watching other people's call recordings that are really good, right? Learning from that as well. Doing your own sales, studying. One of the biggest things that has probably accelerated me past other people who were ahead of me is just mastering my tonality, right? In a way where I'm able to, in a good way, manipulate people with my voice. Right. I know there are boys out there who have better skills than me, but simply because of the way I am able to portray myself and talk on calls, I can outperform them. I had
And,
a lot of tonality practice, and you can see exactly why I did it because my first offer, where I got kicked out after 5 days for the horrible tonality I had.
mm. And so what are the changes in tonality that you made that has made the biggest difference, do you think?
Biggest changes. I actually have a morning routine now to actually warm up my voice in the morning. I know a lot of closers just wake up and just go sit down and just take their calls. I wake up like an hour and a half before my first call to get a morning routine in. I used to go to the gym in the mornings, but I like doing it at night now. Vocal warm-ups, clearing out your head, sometimes even singing, right, to match your vocal tone. How I like to think of your voice is like an instrument, right? With a guitar, you've got 4 or 5 strings. You want to be playing all 4 and 5 strings, right? You don't want to just be playing one little string. With your voice, it's also like an instrument. If you choose to only play one string, you're not even using the full instrument. And if you can use the full instrument, you can control the way people think, what people say, what people do.
Super interesting. So being able to primarily like warm up your voice and just general tone was the big thing. It's not really necessarily to do with confidence or anything else. It's just to,
It's a bit to do with confidence and some other things as well.
mm,
So let's say with your voice, maybe you're monotone, right? You're not confident. Your voice that you have now is basically a byproduct of who you surround yourself with, basically your standards, your beliefs. If you grow up in a loud family, obviously you're going to be loud. If you grow up in a quiet family, you're going to be quiet, right? For the guys and girls who speak quiet on calls, right, and need to actually be more confident, sound more energetic, it sounds weird. It's embarrassing trying to sound different, right? When you first step out of your comfort zone to actually try to sound different, yeah, it feels weird, right? Even if you do it in friend groups with people in person, right? Oh, why do you sound like that? Why you sound different, right? People judge you based on how you sound. But the difference between you and the prospect on call is this is their first impression of you. If you can get past that first little barrier of embarrassment, that shame, you're a gold.
love that. And so in obviously tonality was a big thing for you because that's something that you started out with. It was the biggest lesson you had from the first offer that you undertook. That was the biggest point of feedback. I think I remember you explicitly telling me that. That was like a big point of feedback that they gave you. And so alongside that, alongside tonality as well, is there other piece of advice or lessons or learnings you would have from a skill point of view that you've learned over like the last year that would be helpful for someone that's starting out?
From a skill point of view, if you are going to start with Connor, or whether it's not even Connor, but I do recommend Connor, stick and learn from one mentor. Do not learn from 5 or 10 different mentor sales styles. You will only make your life harder. And that's something I did at the start. We call this one shiny rock syndrome in the space. You find something new, you change your whole script, you find something new, you add it all in. You're meant to be changing your script and your process 1% at a time. If you change it more than that, you get confused, you're not used to it. And at some point, you have a regurgitated mess of 5 different scripts, 10 different sales people, and it's just, I don't even know what it is anymore. It's a bit of an abomination.
That's a great tip. And I think for those that are starting out, if you're looking to get into the space or you're very new to the industry, it's a huge, huge, huge lesson that I teach all my guys that I work with one on one inside the mastermind, which is the fact that when you're trying to trial and combine, 8, 9, 10 different things at any given time, you're going to get bad data and you're going to get massively inconsistent sales results. I think it's a really, really important thing that most people don't talk about because most people are sales trainers, right? That they want you to buy their thing. So they're always going to tell you the problem is that you don't have their stuff. But in reality, where the biggest form of leverage is going to come from is just picking one person that you're happy with their overarching sales philosophy and you're confident, you're happy, you're comfortable, and then just continuing to go down that route for a really, really long time before you start to look at branching out and doing different techniques and different things and putting the price here or changing here, this, whatever else. As long as that person's got a decent track record of social proof of like them actually being good at what they do, then just follow that person, maybe one or two sales trainers relatively blindly when you're starting out. Don't try to reinvent the wheel and start to implement like 10 different things because that can put you in a really, really bad spell.
Yeah. AJ and I think some other boys said this to me when I first started. I was always looking around, oh, I need more sales training. I need to buy another mentorship. I need extra help. You don't need extra sales training. You need to actually just do the work. Right? Stop trying to look for a golden ticket out of your problems. Actually put your head down, follow the proven process, actually just do the work.
100%. I think a good transition based off your tonality and things like that would be I'd be curious to know like in terms of not just like the financial ROI that you've gotten out of sales so far, but like what are the ROI in like other areas you've found personally from like learning high ticket sales as a skill or sales as a skill and being in this industry over a year. You said your tonality's changed a lot and you've been able to work on that. What other areas of your life have been affected and how has that shown up in other areas in terms of getting a return on investment from sales?
Yeah. It's simple to say I'm not a bum anymore. I'm not that bum I was when I first started sales. I can actually do the work without complaining. Right? I can stay up late. Oh, I don't stay up late anymore, but I can and I did to actually chase after my own goals. In terms of motivation, discipline, everything's completely changed. I literally do not recognize who I was before this. Like I was not fat, but I was lazy. I made excuses, procrastinated. I would sleep in, just do whatever's easy. Right? When I actually stepped out of my comfort zone, I saw a lot of growth. And it wasn't just in sales, just in the way I portrayed myself, the way I carried out life. I am a strong believer in the not mindset, but the fact that one aspect of your life translates to another. If you can actually put in the work, you don't procrastinate in sales, it could translate to things like, say, your relationships, maybe even the gym, maybe even stuff yourself. But yeah, I genuinely do not recognize who I was before doing sales.
I love that, man. I love that. And I think that's something that isn't very commonly talked about because with high ticket sales, the main key outcome that everyone wants is six figures or 10K a month, right? Which is a fantastic result to achieve. And everybody should be setting out to achieve that if you have a high standard. However, it's also what kind of comes as an addition to those outcomes that's also really, really valuable. Like a lot of guys for high ticket sales is it's not the be all end all. It's not something you want to do the rest of your life, right? I'm sure you don't want to be, you know, 28 or 30 at this point, being 21 taking sales calls, right? It's a pretty like strenuous job. We're pretty transparent, realistic about that on the channel, but it develops you as an industry to build your own thing in the future or build skills to go in different careers or do whatever things that are going to be more higher leverage so that you can make more and be more and have more from learning the foundational skills sales but also the skills that kind of encompass it because a big thing that we spoke about before we got on this call is the fact that making nearly 20K in a singular month breaks so many beliefs for you that can carry on to running your own business or can carry on to growing exponentially in this space alone because now you've seen that you're able to do it. Whereas like most people to make 10K a month in making money online with any vehicle, whether it's drop shipping, high ticket sales, affiliate marketing, whatever else, the success rate's extremely low because of the amount of belief that you need to have to be able to attain that result. Because usually you don't get to 10K a month overnight. And usually you have to do it with one thing with continuous time of failure, like you've done over the last year. So I think it's really important to touch on that because I think a lot of people get into high ticket sales for the main idea of just making money, and that's totally fine. But there are so many things that come in combination with that as a reward. If you really stick this out for 1, 2, 3 years, your mindset can change. The people who you hang out with can change. Your worldview. There's so many other like non-monetary benefits that kind of come as like a direct proportion of being in the industry and learning the skill set.
Funny you say that. I actually got into the high ticket space simply just because of the money. ended up getting a little more than I asked for, and I'm a completely different person now.
Mm. And I think that's a huge thing for a lot of people who might be watching this because it's, again, whether or not you're an introvert and you really struggle with being social, like it's one of the best things you can really be doing. Like you have hundreds of thousands of interactions with strangers. Odds are you're going to get pretty good at communicating, be more confident speaking, be more of a social person. I share this quite frequently, like on the channel, which is like I'm quite an introverted person, and before I got into high ticket sales, like I couldn't pick up the phone and order a pizza, whereas that's quite the contrast. 5, 6 years from when I got started doing this at 19, it translates and transmutes into everything that we do. So it's definitely something that I think would be important to touch on this interview. What do you think it takes to be successful in this industry? You've gone through a lot of work and a lot of graft, and you've solved a lot of problems from the 0 to 12 month period, and you've hit that 10K a month exactly where I say everyone hits it between like that 6 to 12 month period. That's typically where we see things with most clients. Um, what do you think it takes to get that result? What is the effort that's required? What's the mindset that's required? I'd be curious to know.
Okay. I actually have two quotes I have written down on my whiteboard. So it's not that it doesn't work, you're just doing it wrong. And what that means is just because you keep doing something doesn't mean you're actually going to win, right? You actually have to be doing the right thing. Because let's say you're trying to get a ball into a hoop and you keep repeatedly throwing it on the side of the hoop. Just because you keep throwing it doesn't mean it's going to go in. You actually have to aim where the hoop is by doing the right things, doing the right inputs, right? For the guys that are in the sales space now and haven't actually hit what they want to, you're probably just not doing the right thing, right? Because it does work. There's the proof of concepts out there. I'm proof, Connor's proof, everyone else in the space is proof. You just have to be doing the right thing repeatedly.
And the second quote?
And the second quote, where is it? Oh, it's the same thing. I'll read both of them. To become the person you want, you must destroy the person you are. Don't be so focused on your present self that you don't give your future self a chance. It's actually a quote I use in my calls as well for people that are so focused on where they are now. Right, identity 1.0, 2.0. If you only focus on your 1.0 self now, make decisions based on where you are now, guess what? You're only going to end up where you are now.
Really insightful. Really insightful. And for a lot of people who are maybe on the fence about high ticket sales or making money online itself, you have to start thinking in a very different way, making actions, decisions, behaving like a different person to get a different outcome. If you are asking, people that you're surrounded by, friends from your hometown, or maybe even your parents in some cases, who have the very constricted worldview of their current reality and haven't achieved what you want to achieve. It's very difficult to get different results, aka like results like Daniel and all of the other cases in the channel, if you take advice and you think like you make decisions like the current person you are now. I think there's a great quote that one of my mentors said a long time ago that stuck with me, which is um, being comfortable is the breeding ground for mediocrity. And I think a lot of people who are sitting on the sidelines about making money online or high ticket sales, because I still get people calls with people these days who, is high ticket sales real? I think we're far beyond that point with Daniel will be like the 52nd case study I've ever filmed on the YouTube channel, is like 52 hours of case studies. Um, if you are that type of person who's been looking at this space for a while now and you're kind of like in between, take a very, very hard look at like how do you need to start thinking and acting, make decisions differently so you can get a different result. And I can guarantee you, if you are, comfortable or uncertain or thinking in these types of ways, it's going to require, again, a different decision making process to allow a different result, like Daniel mentioned.
100.
Cool. Right. What does your family think about all this, man? Like, what do they know about high ticket sales? They're aware, like, that's what's going on, or like, what's going on there?
Oh dear. When I dropped out of uni, my mom did not like that. She did not like that, and as you can see, I'm Asian, so oh, mom, I don't want to be a doctor. I don't want to be a lawyer. I don't want to be an astronaut. I don't want to make a cure for cancer. Not any son of mine. probably get disowned, right? My mum wasn't that bad, but she did not want me doing something like this, especially without a degree,
Mm,
because our parents' generation are so fixated on the idea that you need a degree, right? You need some sort of credentials or pieces of paper to prove you're something, just so you have something to fall back on, right? But something I got from that in the space now, if you are trying to enter the space with a safety net, you are most likely going to fail, right? Because when you don't have that safety net, you actually do what you need to. Having that safety net makes you comfortable, makes you be like, still have that safety net, right? My mom obviously didn't like it. My brother knows exactly what I do, supports me, family supports me, and yeah,
do they know how well you're doing now as of this month?
they do. They are getting flown out to Vietnam February next year.
Beautiful. That's awesome. That must feel pretty cool to do. Obviously, coming from no results, no results, no results, and then getting amazing results at the end of the year.
Feels pretty good.
I can imagine, man. That's sick. That's super cool. And so, what are your plans for next year, man? Like, are you looking to travel? Or are you looking to live in, certain places internationally? Um, yeah, what's the goals there?
I'm looking to travel, so probably after Vietnam, I'll probably hit up Bali, maybe Thailand, but I want to travel to at least 10 different places next year.
Nice. Right. Very, very cool. And it's so cool to see like at a young age, it's not only the income that you've unlocked, but it's also just the accessibility and the freedom to be able to travel and move around different places. Like very commonly and very frequently do I get like a lot of clients um, that you would be connected with quite closely, like telling me that you are going to go travel to like Medellin, Colombia, or like all these different places across the world and like even live together, which is a really cool thing to see. Like you've got not only the ability to do that, but being a part of the RSA as a community as well. You've met some cool people where, you know, you've got guys who have the capacity, but also who are willing to move around the world with you who are also passionate and doing the same thing, which I thought was really, really cool. Yeah.
Awesome.
So
Yeah.
tell me about your experience in the program and like as far as like RSA in general, like how would you describe what it's like as to someone who's not actually in there? Like what was your experience like with RSA in general?
Oh man, I was really shy when we first started. I was so shy that when I first joined my first call, I didn't say a word. I had questions, but I was too shy to ask them. Right, I even messaged my mate AJ. I was like, "Yo, I want to ask Connor a question, but I'm too scared to say it." And he was like, "Bro, don't be a pussy, just do it." And this is something you should live by, right? Connor might be the best mentor out there. He might give you the best help that you need. But if you aren't actually willing to let him know you need that help, he can't help you. Right? We're only human. We can't read your mind. Connor can't read my mind either. But in
And
terms of
so
what Connor actually provides, role plays. We used to have mindset stuff. There's a huge job board. I think this job board is insane. It's where I actually got the offer that I'm on now. Oh, the one I hit my big month on.
nice.
The training modules are great. There's a lot of content to go through there. Call reviews, sales calls every week or every week. All right. The big thing here, though, it is first come, first serve. So if you are a pussy and you don't actually put your hand up to get that help, you're not going to get it.
Hmm. Yeah. So you would say a really important thing for people that are looking to explore working with me is like being willing and able to participate, ask questions, come and role play, actively contribute, ask questions. Like that's where you get the value from, not just, buying like a course or whatever else. It's like you have to actually take advantage of it yourself.
Yeah, 100%. And I think oh, well, yeah, your community has to be one of the most active I've seen. Like, even just looking at everyone's posts, everyone's wins, discussions, comments, everyone is really supportive, right? Everyone wants to talk to each other. It is a great place, not only just to learn skills, but to meet the right people, right? Everyone says this all the time. Your network is your net worth.
And I think that's a really, really big thing in this industry specifically because who you know dictates the roles that you get, the quality of information, the quality of your training, the exposure that you get. Like you've got a really great group of guys that you're surrounded with. Like pretty much all of them, I'm fairly certain, are on the YouTube channel at this point, as far as like case studies,
I
right?
think
So
I think we all are. Yeah.
yeah, so that's awesome. So, you know, there's always like different groups inside RSA that all kind of congregate together and have different bits of exposure. One might get there before everyone else, and then everyone else kind of follows. And there might be someone that's just kind of getting there, and then eventually, like for example, with you, just squeeze out the end, and now you're in that group where you're all doing super well. You've got great proof of concept. You've all made good money. How much of an impact and a difference do you think it's made being having that level of like quality community and like the people that you can connect it within it that allow you to do those things?
I would have given up without them. Yeah. I 100% would have given up if I did not have them. I preach this all the time. Please don't try to do this by yourself. Right? Even if you are an introvert, make introvert friends. Right? Do this with someone else. It not only keeps you accountable, because back when I first started, I was still a bum. I was still playing games back in January, February. I'd hop on a call, I'd see them all in the call together, actually doing the work, and I'm like, shit, what am I doing? Right? Why am I being a bum? Turn off everything, go and actually do the work. Right? They keep you accountable, keeps it fun. You get to talk shit about people you don't like and weird offers, and you actually have people to vent to when you have really shitty prospects. So it's fun talking to yourself, but it's even more fun telling a friend how shit your call was and then watching it together.
Can imagine, bro. I can imagine just all you guys picking apart sales calls in Discord. That would be very, very fun. Um, but yeah, that's solid, man. And so obviously, you've been in the space for a year now. You've probably met people outside of RSA as well, inclusive in the high ticket sales space. What would you say from what you've seen from other people is the difference between RSA and everything else that's out there? Obviously, you haven't taken other high ticket sales training programs to get you into the industry, but as far as like what you've seen from feedback from other people, from other programs, and everything else, all the rest of it, what do you feel is the thing that separates RSA from everything else that's out there at the moment?
The one thing I'd say that separates this community the most is probably how active the community is. Everyone is very active. I feel like my general direction in sales would have been completely different had I chosen a different mentor, because all the people in here I met are basically the reason why I'm where I'm now.
Love
I
that.
just think having an active community that thrives with each other is something you really need. I've got a little bit of a sticker here, but I would rewrite it. So at the top for me was mindset, and then off acquisition, and then sales skills. If I had to put something on top of that, it would be your network.
100%. And the mindset is very much dictated by the people that you're surrounded around. And I think we've done a really, really good job. And I can say it now because you've said it, because otherwise it's kind of me just saying things. Because I mean, I have something that I'm selling, right? So like at the end of the day, it's good to hear from the horse's mouth, like someone like yourself and other guys on case studies, right? You good?
I was like, I'm a horse.
No, it's all good. But yeah, like it's good to hear it from actual like clients because again, that's one thing that I've tried to foster over time, which is like build a community of people who actually want you to win and really have a good quality of person because that really does do a lot of heavy lifting in terms of, the support that you get. Obviously, you can lean on for me for feedback with whenever you need, but when you've got a great supportive community and network of people who are where you want to be or who are getting there and have got the right type of mindset, it's eventually inevitable that you're going to get to that same result and outcome too, which is really, really cool that you've mentioned that. In case it isn't obvious already, how likely would you be to recommend RSA to someone that's looking to get into the space? And what would you say to someone who's sitting on the fence?
While I am a little biased because I'm here because of the RSA, I do recommend the RSA. If you are on the fence, why are you on the fence? Like you're either in or you're out. And I recommend being in.
Great interview, a lot of source, a lot of value for guys who are looking to break in the space and who are just starting out. But thanks for joining me, bro.
Too easy, man.
Great
My
having you.
pleasure.
And yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next interview.